Well, what is going on, everybody? Welcome, everybody, into the Overreaction Buffalo Sports Show on the Overreaction Sports Network, powered by Believe. It is so good to have every single one of you guys joining us right now. My name is Joe Miller. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired, alongside my two co-hosts, former Buffalo Bills offensive lineman John Fina and Jerry Ostrowski, who you can find on Twitter at John Fina and at Ostrowski_Big O, respectively. We are excited that you guys are here with us, joining us live, whatever platform you are consuming this live vidcast on now, or in podcast form in post, whichever you decide, or however you decide to consume it. Please like, please subscribe, whatever platform, hit that button, hit those buttons, whatever you got to do, and tell a friend. Day 4 of training camp at St. John Fisher is in the books. It rained today, downpoured, I heard, for about 20 minutes. NFL Network was there today. Mike Robb and Tom Pelissaro. Man, my brain didn't want to work there for a moment. Thank you, gentlemen. We're 6 weeks away from the first game of the season for the Buffalo Bills. Gentlemen, how are we feeling?
6 weeks away, man. I mean, I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it right now. The content online is just got me super excited. I mean, it's just a great feeling. Football is the best sport. That's all there is to it. Most entertaining people, the best game, the most excitement, the craziest fans. I just love it.
Well, since you asked, Joe, I'm hot. I feel bloated. I'm irritable, and I can't sleep at night. But other than that, I'm great.
I don't even know. I'm just
maybe some candlesticks and
the first medicine song that comes to my brain. What are some?
I go to sleep at 9 o'clock and I wake up at midnight and can't go back to sleep.
Well, speaking of not feeling well, the Buffalo Bills, let's start with injuries. For whatever reason, this is one of those things. Well, I guess I should welcome everybody in the chat, right? So welcome to everybody that's in the including Jerry Ostrowski, who retracted a message, apparently, as it says on YouTube. But welcome to everybody. Spin, Bell is in the room. Richard Rush is always here. John, Maggie, who else? I can't even, there's a bunch of you. Thank you guys so much for joining us live. But let's start with the Buffalo Bills and their injury status or injury situation. Bunch of soft tissue injuries. Sorry, I navigated accidentally away from the page. Sal Mariana from the Believe Network, as well as Rochester, who is a Bills beat reporter and is in Rochester with the Buffalo Bills, put out a pretty thorough list. So a couple names were added today. Wide receivers Terrell Shavers and Caden Prather both went down today. Prather looks like, I think they said it's a hamstring, and Tyrell Shavers was carted off the field. There was no information about that outside of.
There was follow-up. The MRI is negative, which is pretty cool.
Well,
you get an MRI and get results that quickly.
Yeah, they said x-rays were negative. It's a lower ankle injury, which is actually, if you're going to do it, it's the best one to have and not the high ankle. So after crazy reports and things talked about, it turns out to be an ankle injury, and he is listed as day-to-day.
Good news. Curtis Samuel injury update per Sal. Samuel is another player who really can't afford to miss time. What does he got? I think he's got a hamstring as well that he's kind of working through. Terrell Bernard has a hamstring issue that he's working through. AJ Epinesa missed Friday and then missed Saturday. And then, no, he didn't practice Saturday. Missed Friday, and then he missed today as well. Spencer Brown still has not seen the field in Buffalo. Offensive line Cedric Van Pran Granger still remains sidelined, and then Dawson Knox still remains, Knox has been walking around camp with a sleeve in his leg, but he is still sidelined as well. Dorian Williams, they're worried about Dorian Williams, right? So suffered a calf injury on Thursday, has now been out Friday and Sunday, has a boot on his right foot. Does that seem strange? So a calf injury and you got a boot on your foot?
Well, the boot goes all the way up to
your knee, right? Gotcha.
And it limits your dorsiflexion, so therefore it doesn't strain the calf and allows the calf to relax and not be strained as you walk. But no, good news. I mean, there is some good news other than the Shavers negative x-rays, but Dawson Knox and Laviscus Chenault have been taken off the PUP list.
Yep, last one on the list, Lavisca Chenault. Yep.
So they've both been taken off the list. They've been actually working over in the corner, as has been Spencer Brown. They've been saw some video today, doing some ladder drills, some weighted vest stuff. So they've been kind of moving around and gearing up. The thing, like you said, though, Joe, we haven't seen Spencer's been over there, whatever. We have not seen Cedric Van Granger over there yet, which is kind of concerning.
Yeah, I would agree. Still 6 weeks out from game one, right? So they probably at least need to be back for 2 or 3 weeks before game one. We're talking about veterans with dozens and dozens of starts at this point in time. So yeah, it doesn't really concern me until we get to that 2-3 week point out. So anything that's flaring up right now, best just back it off. Just chill.
Yep. So was this common when you guys played? You guys, because obviously training camp was a much different experience. The offseason was a much different experience. But did you guys have this many soft tissue injuries? And was it a play through it situation, or did they pull you guys off the field?
John, you froze for a second and you were just smiling. It was kind of funny.
I think yes.
I was laughing. I mean, we didn't miss practice, man. I mean, it was duct tape, super glue, caffeine, nicotine, whatever you could get in you to get out on the field. We didn't have a training room full of guys on the slab like this. At least to my memory.
But I will say this: we were trained differently, and not in a bad way. Rusty was really big on prehab. Rusty was big on not letting us do way too much in the weight room where we could possibly get hurt in the weight room. Rusty was more along the lines of building kind of longer, leaner movement muscle as opposed to just getting under bars. Now, I have not been in their weight room. I have not watched their workouts. But soft tissue injuries across football anymore are a common occurrence because I'm telling you, they train so much. And they are so finely tuned. They are so tweaked as far as getting the most out of what they have genetically. It's just something you're going to have to live with, I think, with today's athlete. And really not just in football, in any sport. I mean, all these guys have taken their bodies to the nth degree because of the science we have behind training. And when you do this, you're going to have tweaks. And we've got a bunch of them right now.
Yeah. So I think what Jerry's recommending is the diet that we used to have, which was fast food and bourbon. You got to give the body a break. And I agree with Jerry. A lot of guys overtrain now, and it's hard to know, really, right? Because there is a certain amount of when you're exercising, whether you're playing golf or you're doing yoga or you're a runner, you keep pushing yourself because there's a sensation while you're training that you're like, oh my God, I'm getting so much better every rep I take, every session I run. And there's a risk, but it's hard to know when to back off.
Also, the Buffalo Bills made a free agent swap. Today they placed wide receiver David White on reserve, retired, and they actually picked up Kelly, and I'm not even going to attempt the last name. I just put it in the chat, in the comment section on YouTube. Carriari, as I said.
Yeah, he had some great college film.
I mean, 25 years old, joined the Bills earlier this week, came as an undrafted rookie free agent last year with the Jaguars, tore his ACL, and the Bills picked him up to replace David White, which they are probably going to need a couple more bodies potentially as far as that goes. But John, if you've got familiarity with him, let us, what's the wrap on him?
Well, I just watched his college film, when we signed him, and it was pretty impressive. So yeah, I guess it's just a function of, is he a guy that doesn't make the 53-man? You keep him on the practice squad. You make sure he's healthy enough to go. He gets in. He's a little older. He's a little hungry after an injury. It might be a guy that fills the gap, or hell, I mean, that practice squad salary now, Jerry. I mean, you can put me on the practice squad for like 10 years. I'm down with that.
Well, it's 10 G's a week. And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't he on the team earlier and we released him for another move? Yep. And then with White going on the reserved retired list, they ended up bringing him back. So, obviously a player the Bills are familiar with, another body at that position, a position where obviously we've had a bunch of people out, and it doesn't seem like it's going to get any better anytime soon.
Yeah. A couple minutes into the show, let's do this. Let's do something a little different for this episode of the Overreaction Sports Show. I'm going to bring up a topic from camp this week. We can discuss it. And then if one of you two want to go next, just something different, a different topic, something that you've heard that you want to rattle around, and then the other one can go. We'll kind of wrap this into a nice little bow just as far as things that we've heard. I put in the thumbnail graphic for the episode, obviously Max Hairston, and then Trey White was there as well. there's a pretty heavy battle. All reports coming out of camp is that there's a huge battle between those two for that number one spot. And it was reported today that if anybody thinks that Trey White's just going to give that over to Max, they've got another thing coming. And he had the sound bite of the weekend on Friday, I believe it was, when he said, I effing train my butt off. Like, I bring it to work every single day. So it seems like Trey is back in Trey White form. So past the injuries, this isn't a bad problem to have, because we know that guys go down, and I can give you the depth chart here in a second on the actual corners. But when you've got Christian Benford, when you've got Trey White, when you've got Max Hairston, Dane Jackson has taken snaps in this defense, and they're not even talking about Dane Jackson. Then you've got rookies, Dorian Strong, and you've got other guys in there as well. Thoughts just on this battle and where it could possibly go? Is it a bad look if Max can't unseat Trey? I don't think so.
No, it's not a bad look. And I think you have to look at Trey White this way. I mean, two things. One, he's only 30. He just turned 30. It's not like he's 34. This isn't like a Douglas situation where we've got an aging cornerback. He's still got some good years left in his career. The other thing is, this is the first year in a couple years that he's been completely healthy. And he's come back from the ACL, the Achilles. He feels well. And, I have no problem with that. I mean, that's his job. His job is to go out and play well and win a job. And if it elongates his career, whether it be in Buffalo or somewhere else after the season, that is fine. And, we draft these guys because, if Max Hairston in the first round was picked because of not only his play, but you look at his athletic ability and what he has, he's got that potential, right? Doesn't mean he's there yet. I mean, if you look at all of our rookies, and I confirmed this with Joe Marino today because he's up there, all our rookies are running just a couple are running second team. Most of them are third team guys right now. And they're trying to learn and get involved and get in the middle of it. So this isn't anything new. We talked about it the other day. The thing that excites me about Max is he has the big play the other day on the pass breakup. He got beat on that route, but he used his athletic ability to make up for it and made a play. That's what you want to see. Those guys like that have that athletic ability, and he'll be fine. He'll come along. Trey White will make him better. Yeah. He needs to battle for that job. He shouldn't just have it given to him. John, you understand this. You were in the middle of it yourself.
Totally agree, Jerry. And imagine the reverse, okay? Say there's nobody there pushing Max Hairston, and we just have to start him. But he doesn't come out of the crucible of training camp with somebody nipping at his heels or battling for that spot. Like, everything about this makes both guys better. And as we've seen with injuries in playoffs at that particular position, this is great news for all of us, right? If those two can battle it out, you never know. If we have three quality starting corners, at some point we're going to need the third one, whether it's for a week or two. And this is a great situation.
And the thing is, it's refreshing, Joe, before you comment, it's refreshing that the Buffalo Bills are actually an organization that puts some weight behind a guy having veteran presence on the team. You see so many teams in the NFL just take a guy in the first round. They automatically put him in there. They don't earn anything. A quarter of the time they make it. The other 75% they don't. It's refreshing to me that the Bills actually make their guys earn their playing time. That's how it should be. And that's why they're in the position they're in.
And this is like when you're raising your kids and they're 6 or 7 years old and they do something that's inconsequential negativity wise, but you have a result, right? They have a punishment. So when the stakes get bigger, they understand what's, resting on their shoulders. So the harder Max Hairston can work now, make mistakes in training camp, the better off he's going to be throughout the entire regular season.
I love the way you positioned that, Jerry, just as far as like competition. And we see it, that the Bills bring in competition and generally they don't bring in a patsy, right? They bring in somebody that's going to compete. Josh Allen talked about it in his interview with NFL Network with Tom Pelissero and Mike Robb today. Just that, tempers are starting to flare. They're out there competing, like they're on the grass. They're doing their thing as far as that goes. I want to reflect back to Kaiir Elam because you talk about that situation. They draft a couple of different corners that year. Trey is here. I can't remember who all. I think Dane was here as far as that goes. And it really just got inside the head of Kaiir Elam that he didn't win that job. And it almost he never overcame kind of that first. And I feel like him exiting Buffalo might be the change that he needs, kind of like new scenery. Is that a concern? How does that happen? Why would that happen? I don't think it's a concern with Max Hairston if he doesn't win the starting job, but we've seen it, right? So it's something worth talking about, maybe?
No, I think they just missed on Elam. I mean, they got in a situation where they needed a corner. They probably reached for him, and they missed on him. I don't think it's anything other than that. I don't think he fit in the system. I don't think he picked it up well, and maybe in Dallas he will. He made a play. I saw a play on social media the other day. He made a pick. Now, it was more like a punt that he ran under and caught, but
right.
It was still a pick, and maybe he'll fit in Dallas. But, this is an inexact science. Sometimes you don't hit on your guys. It's just the way it is.
It's one more pick than I have.
Right. Kaiir Elam's not going to be the first guy or the first guy. He's not the first guy. He won't be the last guy that's picked highly that flames out, that misses. If he does flame out, we don't know this yet.
Yeah, what you said was well, sorry, John. What you said was pointed. When he was drafted by the Buffalo Bills, he is a press man corner, and everybody even those of us that aren't professional football players or were and aren't professional content creators, as far as working for ESPN, all knew that as a press man corner, he wasn't necessarily was he going to be able to transition into a zone corner like Benford is. Go ahead, John.
So, did they miss? And it's hard to say, right? Maybe it's the wrong type of player. Maybe they wanted to put more press in, but they didn't feel like they had the safeties behind them. So we made him play zone corner. That's an issue. But here's a thing that a lot of people don't talk about. Jerry Ostrowski, the guy on the screen right now, since the 6th grade was the man. And all through youth football, high school football, college football, and all of these guys that make it to this level have just been the man. And they don't often get a chance for a mental reset where they really have to step back and say, holy crap, I'm really not good enough. I am not doing it right now. And everybody reacts differently to that. And I think it could have been Kaiir Elam certainly has the ability, right? The ability to learn, but he just got, I think, into a mental funk where he had never been before, having been Kaiir Elam since he was 6 years old, winning the Nerf football games on the dirt field where I used to play in Tucson. And then suddenly, it's like, oh my God, this is true adversity. And maybe he just didn't have the skill set. I root for the guy. I hope he does incredibly well. And I hope they still don't make the playoffs, but he does well.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun battle getting back to Trey and to Max. And just that cornerback group. What you said, John, was well said, that they're going to need one of these guys at some point anyway. You can never necessarily be too deep. There's going to be a dogfight. There's some of those guys aren't going to make this football team. Not obviously the ones we're talking about, Benford, Max Hairston, and Trey. But it's going to be a fun battle to watch throughout camp, through the preseason, just kind of see who comes out on the other side of that. There's a lot of meat on the bone, on the chatter bone for training camp so far in the last 4 days. Jerry, why don't you go next as far as a topic that you might want to talk about?
I want to put this comment up, and I'm not picking on you, Joey, at all. I love you. You're here every week, and I appreciate you, and I hope you'll be here every week from here on out. Joey says, hey, what are those defensive linemen was creating havoc all day? All right, Joey, here's what I'm going to tell you. Until tomorrow, which is the first day they put on pads, don't talk to me about defensive line wrecking havoc.
They actually put them on today. They put them on today. They were in shoulder pads today.
They put on pads tomorrow.
Full gear.
Full gear, yeah. But they're in shoulder pads today. Yeah,
I believe they might have been in spider pads. I don't believe they were in pads today.
Gotcha.
But the deal is this, man. No pad practices are built for the defense. They can run around. They can do this. You can charge upfield. You're 340 pounds and nobody can put any force on you to stop you. You better be in the backfield or you shouldn't be playing. Right. We get these reports of Ed Oliver just doing Ed Oliver things in the backfield. Yeah, of course he is. They don't have pads on.
Right.
Now tomorrow, if Ed has 8 tackles for loss with the pads on, we'll talk about it.
There's a lot.
In my experience, at the beginning of any camp, spring ball, training camp, the defense always flashes in the first week or two, 10 days. It's just the way it is. They don't have any risk. The offense is they're doing, game planning. Well, not game planning, but they're doing implementation, which new plays they're putting in. A lot of it is a little bit more strategic, a little more thoughtful. Defense is hair on fire. I tell this to my boys all the time. I'm like, just prepare for the first 10 days of camp that the defense is going to be all the talk and you guys are going to be the ass end of everything.
Right.
It's just like when we played, you'd be sitting there and, one of these guys would be going crazy upfield and you just sit there and go, hey, tomorrow we're going to put pads on. I'm gonna cut you first play. I'm going to cut you. I'm going to hit you and cut your knees out first play.
Hey, Jerry, Duke starts tomorrow, and I called Roman today, and I said, listen, all you're going to get is a bunch of your freshmen and second-year guys thinking they got to be world beaters. They want to make the travel team. Just work your technique, no pads. You just say, if a guy beats you, just look at him and go, I'm really happy for you, man. We're no pads. You killed it, dude.
We come to practice on the backside of an outside zone. I'd look at Panos and Joe go, what do you got here? I go, I'm going to cut him. Okay.
So Chris Yankee I'm guessing was at practice today. He said they wore helmets today, not full pads. So that's what I get for listening to the local radio station that today said that they were in helmets and shoulder pads. So there we go. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate that.
Again, the local media doesn't understand the difference between shoulder pads and spiders.
But to your point about the defensive line and wanting to talk about it, there is a lot of conversation coming out of camp. And I know it's early. There are no pads, but they're talking about fast, and they're talking about twitch, and they're talking about speed and energy and and just the engine that's moving Ogunjobi and Hoyt, and then who else? The new guys, TJ Sanders, and then also Deion. They're talking about the size of Deion, just Deion Walker, which there was the one fading where he was kind of fading sideways in the pass game, and he reached up and he knocked it down. He was he looked like a man amongst boys in that picture. It was incredible how big he looked in that video.
No, he is immense. And, but going back to what we talked about earlier when we were talking about rookies, if you look at our D-line groups, Larry Ogunjobi and Dwayne Carter are running twos on the inside. So TJ Sanders isn't even running at a two. Dwayne Walker's not running at a two. You got Daquan, and you've got Ed, you've got Larry Ogunjobi, and you've got Dwayne Carter running behind them. So the rest of the guys are running in the threes and all that. So yeah, I mean, what's weird is, and what I want to find out, and we're going to be up there soon. And what I kind of am starting to get a image of, or a glimpse of, Bobby Babich is the D coordinator, but it seems to me maybe they have split this defense into half. And while Bobby ultimately controls everything, in practice anyway, or in a lot of scheme stuff, Bobby's running the back end, and you see a ton of Ryan Nielsen running stuff up front. They were running some 5-man pressures today in practice from reports I've seen, and some things like that. So, and Nielsen's always the guy in the middle of that. So it's almost like Nielsen's maybe running D-line and linebackers. He is the de facto or defunct, however you pronounce it, D-line coach. But they seem to be getting after it quite a bit up front, using that youth, using that athleticism, using that speed that they have an advantage of up front because they don't have a size advantage. And it almost seems to be this thing's kind of in two pieces.
Yeah, very good. Pod Junkie asks the question, with Hoyt and Ogunjobi not counting the 53-man roster, is there a limit of putting people on IR? I don't believe they count as roster spots, do they?
No, they don't.
For the first 6 weeks?
No, they don't. The IR, the hidden IR guys will happen in week 6, at the end of week 6. You'll see week 7. So, like, if all of a sudden maybe we feel like Deion Walker is not where we want him or whatever, next thing you know, Deion Walker, that back flares up again, and he's on the IR, and then Ogunjobi comes on, and then you probably have to find somebody to move for Hoyt. So yeah, they won't have any of those mystery IR moves until week 7.
Very good. John, you're up. Any topics from training camp that you might want to discuss or bring up here real quick?
Well, Jerry just kind of alluded to it. I mean, this is really the first year in quite some time where, again, talking about competition across the front four, I mean, we just have a lot. It's a feast for the eyes, and we can't keep them all, right? And so I'm really having a lot of fun paying attention to, who's doing really well. The only name that I haven't heard flashing or anything of that nature is Dwayne Carter. Maybe it's just because he's quietly going about his business, but you hear about all the other guys across the front four. And I'll tell you, on cutdown day, that's the position that I'm really interested to see, because this is all an evaluation, Joe. How do they stack up, and who's going to be on the chopping block and who remains? But I think that's really the most interesting position or group to watch.
Right. And real quick, Paul says this: is Walker more of a 0 or a 1 tech or something else? How does that project as an NFL D lineman? He's going to play 1 technique or a 2 technique in our defense, because we don't play a head up nose. We don't play a 0 nose. We play a shade. So he'll either shade the center or he'll shade the inside guard, shoulder of the guard. He's an immense man. I mean, he's a huge dude. He's got that condor like wingspan. He's already been affecting passing lanes on the inside. I mean, he just sits back there. Even if he doesn't get pass rush, he can swat down passes. So, again, I mean, he's going to have to develop in the weight room as the season goes along. And I think that's a big myth as far as development goes. You can get stronger in the middle of the season if you train properly. I know the Bills believe in that, and they'll do that with him. But, yeah, I mean, and Chris says over in the comments, he's the next Jordan Phillips. I know that players on the team have commented that he's like Jordan Phillips, which means he is a big man that eats up a lot of space.
Yep, for sure.
Moving on, Jerry, hopefully he develops a little bit of Hamilton's technique from the Giants, right? And now that the umpire is behind the offensive line,
yes,
maybe Dion can grab a couple of guys and hold them, keep those linebackers clean, turn a couple
without
shoulders.
a doubt.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yes. So transitioning to final topic for this episode, we've got Alex Brasky on the beat on Tuesday. So the return of On the Beat is Tuesday, live at 8 p.m. And Alex Brasky from Bills Digest is going to be joining us for that first episode. And we're going to talk wide receivers. But before we talk wide receivers with Alex, the three of us can absolutely chat wide receivers. And it was just, there's a lot of energy coming out of that, a lot of ups and downs as well. Keon Coleman had a great day today, but they're, and it's funny because the fans turn on people really, really quick. Right? A guy dropped apparently he had a bad drop, I think Friday, and obviously the fan base, turns on him. But there's a lot that we've seen, there's a lot that we've heard that sticks out, whether it's Elijah Moore, whether it's Joshua Palmer, Keon Coleman having a day, obviously Khalil Shakir. Just curious your thoughts on what you're hearing out of camp around the wide receivers before we talk to Alex on Tuesday.
My biggest thing is Keon Coleman to me.
Well, listen,
little delay there.
Go ahead, John.
Go ahead, John.
I was just going to say, if you have a drop, then make you spend the night in Batavia, right? Isn't that the rule?
I thought it was Fredonia.
Listen, it's this everybody eats mentality that Jerry hates, but you're going to see guys flash during training camp. And I think the important thing is that we see everybody in the top 5 have a day from, here or there, right? So there hasn't been a huge amount of talk about Shakir, but we know he is the guy. Keon Coleman, I think it was a huge focus to make sure that he gets comfortable, gets a ton of reps, and has great success, and as he did today. Moore, Palmer, Samuel, all these guys are going to get their opportunities, and it's just important that when they have their shot, when they have their day, that they really maximize that effort. It's the cutoff point for me. It's so hard. I mean, you look at the top 5 guys, and then beyond that, I don't know. It's, flip a coin on who makes the practice squad.
Yeah. Jerry?
My thing about is Keon Coleman actually embracing what he is. And to me, this is, we talked about it many times, bully ball or being a physical receiver and not giving a damn about how fast I run a 40 and how many people can dig into the analytical vaults and tell me about separation percentages and everything else, and going out there and manhandling, defensive backs and making the play on the football. That to me is what's happening. When he continues to do that, the rest of the stuff will take care of itself, because you'll have DBs putting their feet in the ground and try to play the physicality. Then he'll move past them. So I like that. I think that's a big deal, especially the way the quarterback that we have plays the position. You have that situation where you have jump balls and things like that. One thing I do want to talk about, you talked about this being the last thing, but I think we'd be amiss if we didn't talk about this and take a couple of seconds on this topic. Today, I was on YouTube, and on the Dan Mitchell show on YouTube, his podcast, he interviewed Zach Hiller, who is James Cook's agent.
Right.
And Hiller alluded to the fact that the communication lines are open and they are talking. Then Jeremy and Joe on WGR show, they talked about it. Bean making many comments about the James Cook thing. I think you're going to start, this might be the time in camp where we start seeing the ball rolling. Maybe the Bills are able to get something done with James Cook, because here's something I wanted to talk about with this whole negotiation thing. And I think that, and Jeremy talked about this, Jeremy White talked about this in his interview, and it makes a lot of sense to me. If the three of us are going out to sell something or whatever, and we're going to, somebody comes to your house, they want to buy, I don't know, a used Bronco, John. They want to buy a used Bronco that it was, for your kid to drive around, and they never had the opportunity to do that, right? And you want to sell it for $16,000. What are you going to tell the dude? I want to sell it for 21 or 22, right? And you come to the middle. Why are we assuming that James Cook won't take less than $15 million a year?
Oh,
maybe that's his way of saying, hey, if I want 15, they want to give me 10. We meet in the middle, call it 12.5, and we call it a day. So I just think that's something to be cognizant of. I think we need to look at it. It's being talked about. The general manager's talking about it. The agents out there talking about it. Maybe we'll see a James Cook deal in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, there's whatchamacallit. There's good contracts, there's bad contracts, right? And the Bills are not impervious to giving out bad contracts. They've done it in the past. You look at Von Miller's deal and some other ones like that. What would be a good contract, and what would be, in your opinion, John, a bad contract for James Cook, as far as like what is too much, what is too low, right? So not too low. Where would you want to see him fit versus, well, that's more than we want to pay. 15, I think, is that number. It's got to be 15, right? We're not paying $15 million.
And we're not paying $15 million, but I think the balance is always in the signing bonus, right? So if you're going to take less, you're going to want more up front. You're going to want as much guaranteed as possible. But I think, and there is a little bit of this, right? You don't want to be the team that's always setting the market, overpaying. We did that a little bit. We got, bit in the butt for it. So, I think you see James coming in at that 12 to 13 mark. But if he gets the money up front, I think everybody's happy. And if I were to guess, I would say that that's where they are right now. They're trying to figure out a way to make a 12.5, 12 average look really good with money up front.
Right.
Well,
Jerry?
I think that's the biggest thing. And it's not even maybe money up front, it's guaranteed money, right? And that's what they did with Josh. Josh took the 55 a year as opposed to more than 60 of what Dak Prescott got, because the guarantee was 100%, I believe, or $250 million, with most guaranteed money in league history. So there is a way to compromise around it. Now, do you do that at the running back spot where guys go from the top of the hill to the bottom of the hill real fast without even having any gradual attrition? So I don't know. I mean, that'll be interesting to see, but I just think that it's something that's interesting that we all assume that he's taking 15 or nothing. We don't know. I mean, I think a number. The nice thing would be this, though. I would say this: it'd be nice if James backs this up, has another year like he has, and like he's had, and does those things, that we don't then go ahead like we just did with Ray Davis with a 3rd-round pick. We did with Cook before that with a 2nd-round pick, and burn a high-round draft pick just to shuttle him off in 4 years.
Yeah, 100%.
Does that make sense?
Yep. From the comments section, Pops Mafia asks, aren't Samuel, Shavers, and Moore all hurt? No, just of this list. Shavers is the one that's hurt. Samuel is just nursing a hamstring. It's not supposedly that big of a deal. Joey Hatch, James Cook, representative manager, said that the Bills definitely want him, and so do a lot of other teams. They have been giving him calls since last season. I hope not, because that's tampering. That is against league policy. Other teams cannot necessarily, I don't think, call the agent and ask if a guy's available.
I listened to the interview. The comment was they messaged him about how good of a player he was, not necessarily he's killing it, he's doing great things. Now that doesn't mean that they haven't said, yeah, we'll take him. But no, as far as the Elijah Moore thing goes, he didn't practice today due to general leg soreness, is what they said. And then Taron Johnson had the Veteran Day rest. But you got to remember, Taron Johnson also had a labrum surgery not too long ago, so they need to ease him back into things before they let him just go full blown and start sticking his face in there.
So there's a lot of good things coming up on the Overreaction Sports Network. A lot of fun sponsors we get to talk about relatively soon. We can't really talk about them yet. The network is growing. I'm really excited to be doing this year 2 with you two gentlemen. Looking super, super forward to it. We've got a slot open on Thursday that we're still trying to fill as far as that goes, but we've got we got another person joining us that I can't really talk about yet. And then, like I said, we got some sponsors coming up, and then you guys are coming into town next week and hopefully going to get to visit camp, and we're going to get to play some golf, and then the Jim Kelly thing. And a lot to look forward to, a lot to be excited about, boys.
It is. And I as far as camp goes, I think it's nice that you roll. John, you're so delayed.
That we what?
You're so delayed. Our correspondent John Fina reporting to us from Moscow.
I blame Elon Musk.
That's hysterical. Anyways,
it's nice to go. It's nice to go into the first week of camp.
Moscow, Idaho, Jerry. Idaho.
I think our 2 biggest questions are who's going to punt and who's going to return kicks, which is awful nice.
That's actually 100%. So I'm going to go ahead and get us out of here. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning into the Overreaction Buffalo Sports Show on the Overreaction Sports Network, powered by Believe. It's day 4 of camp in the books. Again, 6 weeks away from game 1 of the 2025 NFL season for the Buffalo Bills. Right around the corner. The summer is not over. We got some great weather coming up. It's gonna be a little bit cooler this week, but don't worry, summer's not over. It's gonna kick back up. But so good to have you. Stick around. Tomorrow, Off Tackle with John Fina show. Tuesday, on the beat. Again, we're gonna have Alex Brasky on for that episode, and then Wednesday, the Big O show with Jerry Ostrowski as always. But it's so good to have every single one of you join us. But for me, for John, for Jerry, for all of us here at Overreaction, we appreciate you guys. Love you. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
I waited for him. Much love. Go Bills.
Go Bills.